this meeting tonight?
We've had meetings this size. Island all by themselves. This June 24th, 2026 meeting of the Union Township Zoning Commission is now called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone may be seated. First item is roll call for a quorum. Mr. Flouty, would you call roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Wing,
Yes.
Mr. Beckman,
Yes.
Mr. Honorlaw.
Yes.
We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for our May 27th, 2026 meeting. The chair will entertain a motion. Don't everybody jump at once.
Well, I'd make a motion we accept them. I don't see anything wrong.
I'll second.
I have a regularly made and seconded motion. That was Mr. Beckman's motion with Mr. Wing's second. Mr. Flouty, if you'd call the question.
Mr. Beckman,
Yes.
Mr. Wing,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Abstain?
Mr. Honorlaw,
Yes.
and Mr. Campbell.
Yes. Minutes are approved. So I know from the agenda, there's no old business to come before the commission. Is that correct, Mr. Flouty?
That is correct.
Okay, we have one item of new business, case number 3-26-Z. But before I do that, Mr. Lewis, would you read our opening statement?
Prior to hearing the cases this evening, I want to provide a brief overview about the process. When a case is called, we will hear from the applicant or their representative first. The commission reserves the right to question the applicant at any time. After the applicant's presentation, we will open the floor to anyone else who wishes to speak in support of the proposal. Then we will open the floor to those wishing to speak against the proposal. Those wishing to speak must fill out and provide us with a speaker registration form. All speakers must speak at the podium and into the microphone for recording purposes. Each speaker must identify themselves for the record. The commission reserves the right to ask questions of persons speaking against the proposal. The expectation is for speakers and observers to maintain the professional decorum of this meeting at all times. We understand that individuals are often passionate regarding their positions and preferences. However, this meeting cannot properly function if it becomes unruly. We ask that all speakers be conscious of the time and that speakers be concise and avoid making repetitive statements. Once those in opposition to the proposal have spoken, the case will be closed for public comment. Discussion at that time is limited to the commission, although the commission may ask questions of zoning staff, the applicant, or those in opposition. After discussion, we will call for a motion from the commission. This motion requires a second, after which the motion itself is opened to discussion. A vote will be called and action taken on the motion. When a motion receives a majority vote, the commission issues its recommendation to the Board of Trustees in accordance with the wording of the motion. Our options are to recommend approval of the requested change, approval of the requested change with some modifications, or denial of the requested change. The purpose of the motion is to make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees regarding the case. The authority to grant an applicant's zoning request or to deny an applicant's zoning request rests with the Board of Trustees. This case will be heard at the next meeting of the trustees, which is scheduled for, I believe, July 14th, 2026. Thank you. That concludes my statement.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Again, this case is number 3-26-Z. Applicant is requesting that 3 parcels located at 1054 Clough Pike, 1062 Clough Pike, and a parcel without an address numbered, that's parcel number 413102D032, totaling approximately 23.63 acres, be rezoned from R1 single-family detached residential to R4 single-family variable residential to allow for a proposed concept plan subdivision. The applicant is Chris Henniger, property owner. Mr. Flouty, do we have a staff report on this case?
Yes, sir. So, as stated before, the applicant has submitted this request for 3 parcels totaling the 23.63 acres, be rezoned from R1 single-family detached residential to R4 single-family variable residential district in order to allow for 60 lots for single-family dwelling units, landscaping elements, entry monument, and open space areas. The subject properties are located directly southeast of the intersection at Shaler Road and Clough Pike, northwest of the existing Whitmore Woods subdivision. 3 ponds exist on the property, and Shaler Run Creek runs through the northernmost corner of the site. Land use is generally in the vicinity consistent of residential uses, with exception to institutional uses such as Clough Pike Baptist Church to the north and the West Clermont High School to the south. All adjacent parcels consist of R1 single-family, R2 single-family detached residential, R3 planned multifamily residential, and R4 single-family variable residential. The 2030 Union Township Comprehensive Land Use Plan indicates that the proposed development is not located within a designated corridor. However, the use itself is instrumental and supportive to the underlying single-family residential character of this area of the township. Moreover, the use of the R4 district allows for enhanced design flexibility and allows for the land to be more creatively integrated and supportive of the surrounding community, and has been an effective tool for facilitating the redevelopment of home sites already situated in existing neighborhoods. Furthermore, adjacent land use characteristics nearby mirror the proposed development plan. Single-family residential development goals state that the plan documents call for a targeted single-family dwelling densities up to 4 units per acre, which the proposal readily achieves with the gross density of 2.54 units an acre. The adopted land use plan also references the need to accommodate pedestrian access and future connectivity through creative site design techniques. The relationship to the R4 single-family variable structure, did want to point out that this proposed development is for single-family detached units. Some background information: the area has been located within the R1 single-family district since the institution of zoning in '59. Since then, the properties have been used for agricultural and/or residential uses. The Clermont County Auditor Land Use Code lists the property under agricultural, which is a whole separate classification from the Union Township zoning map, which has it zoned as R1 single-family residential. A review of the applicant's proposal yields the proposed zone change and conceptual development plans are consistent with both the R4 district regulations and the adopted single-family land use recommendations of the 2030 Horizon Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The proposed R4 single-family variable concept plan proposes 60 lots with moderate density subdivision with an average lot width of 60 feet at the building setback line and an average lot depth of 150. This development approach results in a gross density of 2.54 units an acre across the 23.63 acre site. Submitted plans indicate that 3 additional lots will be dedicated for open space, totaling approximately 4.79 acres or 20.3% of the total acreage to be maintained by the HOA. The northernmost detention pond, or Lot A, is in the close proximity to the 3 existing ponds. On Lot A, the walking paths have been proposed to surround the retention pond. The southernmost detention pond on Lot B has no existing water features recorded nearby. A third Lot C appears to remain undisturbed by development. If the applicant intends to preserve forested areas, the applicant will need to label this on the plans. Proposed street trees throughout the subdivision and additional planting along entryway have been proposed. Staff has noted the proposed landscaping buffering screening along the main subdivision entry onto Ridgepoint Drive from Clough Pike. The buffering screening should be extended northward and southward to provide full screening for the benefit of the proposed lots 1, 12, and 58 through 60, providing privacy for the pre-existing residential properties accessed along Clough Pike. The plan indicates installation of street and sidewalks along with a safety gate proposed where a connection would be made to the public stub street along the existing portion of Ridgepoint Drive. The safety gate would impede for the future connection with the existing street network and directly go against the Horizon 2030 plan along with the Clermont County subdivision review guidelines. A through connection would allow for completed streets with additional access for emergency services. Street lighting has been proposed. Lighting shall be downward directed in accordance with regulations of the newly adopted Article 14 lighting standards. An entry monument sign is proposed for the development. Consideration should be taken for the site distances for clearance for pulling onto Clough Pike along with the visibilities for the existing residential homes along Clough. The applicant should contact the Clermont County engineer to determine if a traffic study shall be required for this subdivision. Some recommended modifications tonight. If the board should choose to vote favorably on this proposal, 1, the applicant shall comply with the requirements of all federal, state, and local regulatory agencies having jurisdiction over the proposed development as part of the final development and permitting process. Additional landscaping screening and/or buffering shall be implemented in close proximity to the Ridgepoint Drive entry around boundaries of the proposed development where vegetation is limited. Special consideration will need to be taken into effect for lots 1, 12, 58 through 60 with either vegetation and/or privacy fencing. Tree canopies shall be labeled preserved when applicable. 3, provide detail for monument sign location with appropriate setbacks. This shall take into consideration sightline distances from the new entrance and existing homes surrounding the proposed development. Lastly, number 4, the safety gate located at the stub connection of Ridge Street shall be eliminated. This will allow for the connection to the existing street network as intended and will align with the 2030 Horizon Plan and the regulations set forth by the Clermont County subdivision review. With that, Mr. Campbell, that concludes the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Flouty. Regarding that 4th point, that's Ridgepoint Drive, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry if I said that wrong. Ridgepoint Drive.
Thank
correct.
you.
Yes.
Please don't go anywhere. We're going to be relying on you to answer some questions that we have, but I think that with that, we'll move on. Is the applicant and their representative present to speak to the commission tonight?
Hi, good evening. My name is Doug Smith. I'm with Abercrombie & Associates, the civil site engineer for the project. Also here tonight is a representative from the development team, Beaver Creek Site Management, as well as the builder, Arbor Homes. We'd like to thank staff for their report and their thoroughness on this. I can tell you, probably end of last year, the property owner and I met with Mr. Wright, and at that time, the staff, Mark McCormick, and the property owner was interested in developing the property as apartments and townhomes, and it was a more dense development. We came in, we spoke with Mr. McCormick and Mr. Wright. They encouraged us to rethink the development, come back with a different layout, layout more conducive to the surrounding residential zoning. We did that. The owner was fortunate to find a developer that was willing to do single-family residential development. So we're pleased to be here in front of you tonight. The plan, in our opinion, is a good plan. It offers similar residential housing that's to the north and to the south and to the east, I guess. The plan takes into account the natural features. It preserves the existing pond on site. It provides a buffer along the northern property line as well as the northeast property as well as the south property line. It preserves the natural streams. It still allows for a density. It's a low density that's considerable to an R1 zone, not much more different, and yet still preserves the natural features. It allows a walking trail, and in our opinion, really provides for a nice development. The development, it's a mirror image or reflection of the Magnolia Trace development, successful new development in Union Township. We feel this will be just as successful and good in this area as well. We concur with staff comments. We would like you to consider removing modification number 4 with regards to the connection to existing Ridge Point Drive. We do want to make that connection, but we want to put a safety gate up with a knock box for the fire department. We want to deter any kind of cut-through traffic. We think it'd create a safer, better environment for not only this proposed subdivision, but the existing subdivision as well. Cut-through traffic, it can be the non-residents. They could come down Clough, turn and cut through and go all the way over to Back Buxton. And, I do know Back Buxton's and Shaler is looking to get a new intersection, roundabout improvements and things of that nature, but that could, entice people to come down Clough and cut through this subdivision and the Ridge Point Drive subdivision to get to the quicker, more efficient roundabout and then out to Back Buxton, out to State Route 32. So for those reasons, we ask that you consider removing that 4th item. Joe, would you like to add any comments at this time?
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
In your discussions with the engineer's office, did the engineer indicate that that would be permitted to gate that opening off? If the subdivision regulations would allow that to be gated?
They informed us it would be up to the township's decision, because
Is that-
ultimately, it's going to be a township road.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, would
You guys,
call on your colleague.
Hi, my name's Joe Ferrugia, and just a little bit of information about what we propose. This would be comparable to the subdivision that is, it abuts. The quality of the homes, the materials for the exterior of the homes would be a mix of brick, stone, hardy plank. Any vinyl that would be used would be of a high-quality vinyl. Nowadays, they make a nice-looking vinyl. These homes will probably be in that 600-plus range, if that helps. And we are going to do, once we get further into this, if we do get approved, we will get into the details for the entry monument, landscaping. We do have a landscape plan, but we would enhance that plan based on the township's comments. And if we haven't, on the traffic study, we haven't gotten deep into the traffic study, but if we do connect, and we'd like to connect, I think the county and the township want us to connect to the Stubb Street. And if we don't do a gate, or maybe even if we do a gate, we might have to do a turn lane on Clough. And that's going to be, I believe, the county's call on that. So that's all I have. If there's, I'll answer any questions that you might have for me.
Has the county expressed interest to you in doing a traffic study?
Well, they will, every project we do in the county requires us to do a traffic study. So we'll, pretty sure we're going to do a traffic study.
So, any other
I
questions?
have a question.
Yes, Mr.
Did
Lewis.
you have any graphics of the proposed houses of what they would look like? Is there so many styles and that would be repeated? Are they all going to be unique, or do you
Oh,
have
yeah,
any
they'll be
graphics?
unique. We'll have architectural approval. We'll pre-approve, typically we pre-approve the plans. And then there's restrictions. You can't build the same house next to one another across the street. The elevations, you know, might have the same floor plan, but the elevation of the exterior of the house will be a little different. But yes, it won't look like an army barracks. You know, it's gonna be attractive.
Do you know how many variations there will be?
I don't. I can call on the builder representative to maybe help me with that.
That was going to be my question too, but do you have anything with you that we can see?
No.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Kaya Karp. I'm from Arbor Homes. Yeah, I do questions about how many variations there are. I believe there are 5 floor plans within this series that we are doing, which is our patio series, which is more of an age-out community that we would like to see. We know that is a market that is missing out in the area. And to go off of what Joe had said, we have an anti-monotony standard that we hold to ourselves. If you have a dwelling across from the street and next to you, you cannot have the same elevation or the colors. We hold that as a standard. We do not want it to look like you're driving into a neighborhood and you can't figure out your own house. Any other questions I can address for you at this moment?
These are going to be patio homes, I take it?
Correct. You can't add a second floor or you can't add a basement. You can't have both, just based off the floor plans and the stairs. But we do have the option for you to do a second floor or basement as well.
Oh, so the lots will be purchased, and then the purchaser will determine which model and which.
Correct,
Which
correct. But
specifications.
we
for-
have, our sales associates are aware with each purchase what elevation, what colors there are. And whenever they go out to pick a lot with the customer, they tell them what they cannot have.
Oh, I see.
So that they know that they cannot sell this elevation, these colors on this lot, this is what's available. That way, nobody's going in blind and saying, oh, well, I didn't know I couldn't have this color, now I don't want to have a house. Our sales associates are very well trained in making sure that people are not blindsided about our requirements. We make sure to know what building materials and everything we need to apply and adhere to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions at
I'd like
this
to
time?
get clarification on the concept versus concept formal.
But yes, please.
Yeah. Mr. Flaherty, your staff report indicates that this is a concept plan submission, but the applicant's report indicated it was a combined formal and concept. Which is it?
So it would be both the combined conceptual and formal.
And formal.
So you'll make the recommendation, and then ultimately you'll head to the trustees, who will, sorry, I forgot to turn on my mic.
So there won't be a following formal plan submitted. This
Correct,
plan is
yes.
considered the
Yep,
combination.
and if it were to be approved, then it would move on to the county, where they would do the subdivision review process of the stormwater and sewage and everything. So basically, right now, with this zoning commission meeting, we're seeing whether or not the proposed zoning classification is appropriate in this area.
Okay. So we could request in our motion, if we move to recommend approval, we could request that for the trustees meeting, that some graphics be provided for what the home layouts and fascia will look like.
Correct. You can add additional requirements to the proposal. That way, the more information will be available for the trustees to make that final decision.
All right, thank you.
I would like to add a detail, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Square footage is anywhere from over 1,500 square feet to over 3,300 square feet. So it gives the option for people who want to get into the homes or somebody who has the money in order to buy a bigger,
Oh.
floor plan. But that's just one more detail I wanted to get in there. So if you have any other questions, please feel free.
No, I appreciate it because I had that question to make sure that,
That tends to be a
proposed-
question, so
to-
I knew it was probably going to be something to bring up.
just to make sure that it was consistent with the R4 and the size that's appropriate for that. Any additional questions?
No.
All right, none at this time, but please stay. I'm sure we will have additional questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, any additional speakers in favor of this project? Okay, hearing none. We're opening up to members of the public who wish to speak against or just have in general comments. Again, to echo our prefatory statement, if we can, we have a lot of people here tonight, and we appreciate everyone being out at this public meeting, but if we could confine our discussion to this project in particular, and if we can try to avoid making repetitive statements, and just remember, we have a lot of people that likely want to speak this evening, and I want everyone to have the ability to do that. I was given some sign-in sheets before the meeting started, so I'm going to start with these, and then as we have additional speakers, please remember to bring these up. The first one that I recall getting is Mr. Scott Sheeman. If you just, when you come to the podium, introduce yourself again and give your address for the record, please. If you direct your comments to the commission, and we can pass the ball as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Scott Sheeman. I live at 1069 Ridge Point, which is adjacent to Lot 34 that's proposed. And I think my biggest concern is that Lot 34 has an elevation that slopes down towards my house at the same time as it slopes down towards that retaining pond that you show up here on the bottom right. I wish I'd have brought my pointer, but anyways, the concern is pushing water toward my basement and foundation as opposed to managing it in its natural flow, which is not causing a problem right now. There's also, and I think there was a picture that I had attached to a note. Did you distribute that, Craig?
Yes, yep.
All right. And that picture shows how the water flows down from where the Ridge Point extension would be. The sewer connection is also right there on the edge of my property. If you have a gate, and that was something I didn't know or really realize when I wrote my note to the township. The gate, if it opens up toward my house, I can't get in my driveway. So there needs to be some consideration given to how the gate opens, and otherwise you'll lock me out of being able to get into my house. And those are the prime concerns I have. Any questions?
No, thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Sure.
I'd like to direct some questions towards the applicant regarding this. So, if there were to be a safety gate placed on Ridge Point Drive, to answer the question that's been brought up, in what direction would that be opening, and how do we keep that from blocking drives? Either one of you, if you wouldn't mind, this is uncomfortable, but if you could share, if you could kind of pivot and share this is going out on YouTube, it's part of our records.
So on the gate issue, we
Yes,
we can design the gate to where we don't want to block his driveway, obviously.
Okay.
Or we could use what is the knockdown bollards, that they're yellow in color, they're mounted on the pavement, and they're either keyed for the fire, EMS people, police, or they can be hit with the bumper of the truck, and it snaps a pin on the bottom and folds over so they could drive in for emergency purposes. But we can design the gate to where it either, it might go straight up, it might slide in, but there's a way that we can design the gate to where it's not blocking your driveway or anybody else's driveway.
Am I allowed to give him a copy of this?
Yeah,
All right.
I can't make him take
Sure.
it, but
That's
you
my
can
driveway.
offer it.
Sure.
There's the end of the road.
I
So
want
you- So you can see that if it opened,
No, I get
It
it, I
could be
get it.
pretty
So
ugly.
we would design, now that lot 34 is a fairly large lot.
okay,
So, if it is a gate, we can design the placement of that house so that the gate swings into our development and not into your development. On the stormwater,
you see it flows both
Right.
that way and down. The creek is here.
so on the stormwater, we cannot discharge water onto your property. We have to take it into our detention ponds, retention ponds.
Okay.
And it's a controlled release, and that is approved. We have to do a stormwater calculation and submit that to the county, and then they approve it or make changes to it, to where we're not affecting neighbors with additional stormwater.
There is also a fire hydrant right there.
Okay, so that, we're gonna tie into the water main
Yep.
here and also on Clough. And the county, and we don't know this yet because we haven't gotten that far into the detail, but that fire hydrant, we would connect to the water main. Either the fire hydrant would stay there, or the county might ask that we place it somewhere else if it's too close to another fire hydrant down here.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, in the sanitary, we tie into the sanitary, we do all the restoration. We'll do that right away. If it's not, we don't do it at the end of the project, we do it
If
right
you're
away.
doing that here and it busts things up, what
Like,
is your
we're
practice?
responsible for your driveway,
Yeah,
sidewalk,
sidewalk gone
yeah,
again.
but we'll connect our sidewalk
All right.
to here.
All right.
Okay, but this is all, I can't tell you, we're doing this in other developments where we gotta tie on to an existing street, and our restoration is top-notch, I think.
Excellent.
Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Schuman, could you pass page 1 also of your letter? So there's the other line items, you had 6 line items listed, and they're all standard things that are normally taken care
I've got it
of.
electronically, so
Okay.
just give it to him.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, thank you both. And that is just a general comment, is if you live in an older neighborhood in the township like I do, in 1957, they weren't really concerned about stormwater drainage, and so they just threw up a bunch of houses, and now the water goes wherever it goes. With modern developments, we see, and we have standards, there are standards, I should say, for stormwater retention and detention. So when newer developments come in, usually that helps relieve even older neighborhood problems. So I have John F. and/or Rosemary Hunt, please.
Good evening. She's Rosemary, I'm John.
Thank you.
Just to cover the area, we both live at 1070 Ridge Point. So we're 2 houses in from the boundary. And I think my biggest question at the moment, for my lack of knowledge, is what does variable really mean as far as single residence variable housing?
The
What is
lots
it
don't
that-
have to be cookie cutter. A traditional R1 subdivision, the lots are cookie cuttered, and variable means the lots can fluctuate in size. In some cases, the houses can be condominiums or even condos if there's a large recreational space set aside, adjoining walls. In this case, that's all single-family,
It's all
separate,
single-family separate,
separate, correct.
but they can be variable in design or land
Correct.
arrangement. Very, very good. Rosemary?
But they'll be all single families.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Single
single family.
families,
All
correct?
single
Yes, yes.
Okay, the other concern we also have, as Scott has, is we live at the dead end of Ridge Point Drive. And this hasn't been approved, and there's a lot of discussions about this gate. Obviously, we at that end would prefer that that end be closed instead of open. I understand there should be an emergency vehicle to be able to go through that, yes. But how that's going to be developed, I guess that remains to be seen, but we do not want it opened up through the public. Because we have enough cars that come down our dead end that just kind of look around and back into our driveways and leave again. And especially since all this has been coming up, we have a lot more cars coming down our end of the street. So I guess those are the two biggest things, to be sure what kind of houses. And no one has talked about the water situation. We were told when we moved in 23 years ago that Lucky Homes, they would not buy that land because of the water and the sewage, and it all had to be developed. So no one has talked about that. How is that going to be a factor for us?
Well, the plan that is being called for is that there is going to be stormwater retention, which is something that would be required anyway. And they are going to tie in to water and sewer that already exist. So this is something that comes up when there are newer residents and when newer projects, and residents will cite back to something a real estate agent told them or a developer told them regarding adjoining wooded areas or undeveloped areas. And the truth is, it's like those people do not own that property, and properties can be developed by property owners. It may have been at the time, possibly, and this is mere speculation, that it wouldn't have been cost effective at that time to develop, but times do develop, and we hear this all the time regarding sort of new developments in places where people didn't expect that there could ever be a development, if that answers your question.
Okay. Just one other quick thought, and I appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow it went from agricultural to R1. And R1 has quickly snowbound to R4. I don't understand the difference, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we can answer that question. So it's been zoned, these parcels, all three have been zoned R1 under the Union Township zoning resolution since zoning was first instituted in the township in 1959, if I'm quoting that correctly.
Yes.
So the agricultural designation is a county designation, right? So it's a difference between a county label and a Union Township zoning resolution
The
label.
agricultural, if I may, the agricultural is how the auditor taxes the land.
Okay, but how have we gone from what's R1?
So it's two separate things. There's the underlying zoning, which is R1, that's the township, and then you have the tax map, the auditor, they classify and tax as agricultural. So it's two separate designations. So it's always been R1. And how it's taxed does not pertain to this case. It's how the county has accessed the property through the past years.
I think maybe what they're looking for, R1 is a lot size. R1 specifies a minimum lot size, close to a half acre, a little less than a half acre.
20,000.
20,000 square feet. R2 is half that size. These are all this is listed as R1, meaning that typically the houses would be on cookie cutter half acre lots. But with R4, we're allowed to vary the size and shape of those lots. Some can be smaller, some can be larger. There can be a fluctuation, there can be a diversification rather than just this cutout subdivision that we used to see all the time. And so we're trying to encourage R4s to see more aesthetic placement, more green space set aside, rather than just everything clear cut and then turned into so many half acre clear-cut ponds.
But single families.
Single family.
family.
If I may make a comment too, some of the vehicles that come up there and stopped,
Maybe.
they were, well,
Right.
some of them were me.
They were us.
And almost all of us do our homework before we get in here, so we see physically what the place looks like. I spend quite a bit of time up here at the corner.
Thank you both. I have one more that was turned in before we started, and I apologize if I mispronounced, but Alan Young or Jung? You've heard it all by now?
Just not John.
I got that for you. I got that for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Alan Young, 4101 Woodmont Drive. The concerns that I have is along the south edge of the property. There is a large culvert that drains off of Cleft Pike, as well as some neighborhood drainage. It runs all the way along the south edge of this property. My concern is when we go in and grade the slope, we'll have increased drainage, increased water in that stream. We've already seen some erosion on some of the neighboring properties from that culvert. What's going to happen when we go in and regrade all that land and drain into that existing drainage? That is not on the plans anywhere addressed as current, nor is it addressed in the future plan. Another concern is, that we have is the traffic on Cleft Pike and turning in and out. I know there was some mention about traffic study, but that's definitely, there are times during the day that is standstill traffic on Cleft between McMahon and Shaler, both in the morning and the afternoon. And adding another 120 cars because you have 60 home sites, what is it going to do to the traffic there? Another concern is along the easement on that south edge. That is not to be used for construction traffic, and then also as access to lots 55 and lot 56. And we're not, that easement is not used as a back way into some of those lots. Also, I'd like some clarification, or I think should be clarified, what's going to happen to the vegetation and trees that are marked on the plan? And what's going to prevent future homeowners from going through and tearing all of that, which provides some shielding or blockage of views of those home sites. And, yeah, really, and then the OSC, what are the plans for that? It says that, vegetation and trees will be left as is. And is it going to be maintained by the homeowners association? What's going to happen with that area? Those are my concerns.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to call
Thank
on
you
the
for your time.
developer to address what can be addressed.
I think I got it here.
Thank you, sir.
With regards to the swale on the south end, we are leaving that in its natural state. We're not going to disturb that swale. It's going to continue to run its course it is today. The street there that's serving lots 59 through, I guess it's 52, or 60 through 52, half the houses, the street, all will go to stormwater infrastructure that will then drain to the detention basin shown on the open space area to the I guess it's to the northeast. And then the only thing that would remain that could drain towards that existing channel would be half of the rear of the lots and the lawns, which would be, maintained and quite frankly, we would be reducing the amount of volume of runoff to that channel because we're diverting with the street in the front part of those houses, we'll be diverting stormwater to the detention basin, if that makes sense to you. So we would actually be reducing the amount of volume of runoff to that stream by just simply collecting it and taking it to the detention basin. With regards to traffic, the county will require a traffic impact study. We'll do that study. We'll submit that to the county and go through that process as is warranted. I wasn't sure about the easement. I'm not aware of an easement that he was referencing. I don't know what that, I can tell you that the OSC is an open space area that currently is going to remain natural and if needed will be maintained by the homeowners association. So.
I think that's an important point for everybody to understand, is that all of that, all this, and Mr. Flotty, could you bring up the picture that shows the actual green space? All the green space is not anybody's property. It's all belongs to the homeowners association, and it cannot be cut down by any of the property owners. And this is what you can have when you have an R4. With an R1, the whole place would be clear cut, everything would be gone, and you'd have cookie cutter houses. But with R4, we've got what appears to me a fairly creative design and preserving a lot of the wooded area that's back there. And that's what the R4 allows, brings to the table, is the ability to maintain these important wooded areas and then make use and allow for some walking trails and make it a much more aesthetic environment rather than a traditional subdivision cut.
And in addition, staff report is if adopted, if this modification were to be adopted, it would require additional landscape screening and buffering, particularly along Ridge Point Drive. So that would address some of those concerns. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I appreciate that. I think that covered many of those. So I am now out of public speaking form, so it's first come, first. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
My name is Andrew Galloway. I live at 4103 Woodmont. We're next to Allen. And actually, some of the questions that he had are the same things that I have. First of all, the easement there, we were told when we bought the house 25 years ago, was actually an easement for Duke. And there's actually a creek there. I've actually lost about this much of my backyard to that creek. So that's kind of my same question that he had about the water runoff. Because obviously those houses are going to sit higher. They're not going to sit them lower to where they're going to, the water's going to run to the house. It's going to run from the house. So that's where my backyard is. Like I say, I've already lost 10 feet in 25 years. So now you add 60 homes and say, I don't know, looks like 10 or 15 of them are going to be on that side. So I'm adding that much more water runoff to what it already can handle. So, I mean, that's my biggest thing, is who's going to do the water study of that creek? He doesn't even know that there's an easement for Duke there, which to me, if you're building a subdivision, that would be something you should know. I mean, I don't understand how that could be missed.
It's important to realize they're not allowed to divert water from their
Well, they're not
construction.
diverting
Or
it,
they're
but
not
if
allowed to send water. They have to control the water to what we've already discussed, to the retention zone. So anything going to the retention is now a waterway, a creek. We're not allowed, nobody's allowed to change your waterway.
The
Can't change
water
the
will
creek.
run wherever it's going to run. If that home sits higher, then the water's obviously going to find the lowest point.
Then they have to control it and have it either go to one of their retention ponds or into the creek. And the county has a standard for how much water can flow in that creek, and it can't surpass that amount. So they have to, any water that's going to flow from construction they do or hard pavement surfaces has to be captured. Now, water that's on the land right now and running on grassy areas, that will continue to run down. But anything that's causing additional flow from impervious surfaces, driveways and streets, has to be routed into the retention ponds. So you won't get more than what you're getting now.
Well, they're going to change the elevation, correct?
I don't believe so. The elevation is primarily staying intact. They will be cutting and digging, creating foundations, but they're not moving houses up or down.
So you don't think the elevation's going to change on that south side where the properties are going to be built? So if it's low, which it is low now, it's going to stay low. It's not going to be built up. If it stays low, then that means their house is going to be in a flood zone from that creek. So they have to build it up. And then you're going to have water runoff. Just like you just said,
Are you planning
it'll
on
run off
raising
through the
any
yard.
levels?
I guess We will be doing some grading. At this time, I don't have the detail to say whether we're raising or lowering, but we will be grading along the streets and the house pads along that. Now, I'd like to make references, there's not 60 homes draining into that swell. This has a defined drainage pattern where a good half of the property goes to the north and to the east, and the other half goes to the south, and quite frankly, the half that goes to the south, there's eight or nine lots that are on the south side of the street, where half of those lots are gonna drain to the street. So, we're gonna be picking, like you said, we're gonna be picking up all the impervious areas, taking them to the detention basin, releasing at a slow rate. The county has stormwater management requirements that we have to follow.
Who's gonna do the study for that?
I will do the study. It'll be reviewed and approved by the county engineer, stormwater management, and it'll be reviewed and approved by them. They have strict guidelines, and as Mr. Campbell stated, these guidelines are getting more and more strict over time, and so our development is going to have more strict, reduce the flow, have more volume probably than the development of Woodmont and/or the adjacent development to them. It's just getting more and more complicated, more and more stringent as time goes on.
Well, too, you're tying into existing sewer and everything that's there from, because you're saying everything's so much better now, but you're gonna tie into something that's been there since the 59, I guess, maybe?
Well,
I don't know. When was the last upgrade done on the sewers and, you know what I mean?
well, again, that's a county level, and it wouldn't, the surrounding environs weren't built in 1959.
Yeah, but
so-
that's what I'm saying, though. He's saying things are so much better now. But everything isn't being done now. He's tying into something that's existing, that's 25, 30, 40 years old. And now we're gonna dump another 60 homes into this, something that was made probably for less than what's there now. And now we're adding another 60 homes to it. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, and I understand that, but if it doesn't get rezoned R4 and
Yeah.
it stays R1, that doesn't mean that no houses can be built on that
Okay.
property. Mr. Flouty, how many, if it stayed and a developer develops it as R1, how many single-family homes?
I have roughly, because you gotta take the streets and
Sure.
calculations out of it, I have close to 46 would be allowed outright, and that would be without the 20% open space that's proposed that we have now.
Right, because that's not a requirement in R1,
So this has already been a done deal then with the county township?
No, it's just zoned residential that they can be built on.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, yes, since 1959, it's been zoned residential.
So they can still build.
So regardless of whether it's approved as an R4
Yeah.
plan, it could still be
Just
developed.
changes the sizes of the lots that they.
It goes back to what Mr. Lewis was saying, the lots would be the same size,
Yeah.
they'd be cookie cutter, and there would be, that we wouldn't have the green spaces or the trees maintained, because you don't have to in R1.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak, please? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Susan Dudak. I live on Valleywood Drive, 1087 Valleywood Drive, so I am about 4 houses off of Buxton. Ridge Point, to get out of Ridge Point, you have to come to Valleywood Drive, and then you can either go to Buxton or you can go the opposite way to Clough. I can tell you that there are certain times of the day that I cannot get out onto Buxton. I cannot. And if school's in session, there are certain times when it is backed all the way down. Even without school, it is not unusual to see Buxton backed from Klepper all the way down to Shaler. Traffic is horrendous. And so that's my concern, first of all. So let's say a traffic study is done and it shows that this is going to overwhelm our already overwhelmed roads. So what? What happens?
Well, that's not a township level decision, so that we'd be talking county. and they would mandate whatever changes were to be borne out by that traffic study. So there was talk of a potential turn lane as being from Clough into the neighborhood as being a potential modification that the county would institute and require.
Okay, I can tell you if that turn lane is not there, traffic is going to be so backlogged. Now, my concern also is that safety gate that you recommended be taken away. So if that traffic from that neighborhood is allowed to come through our neighborhood and out to Buxton, I won't be able to get out of my driveway, let alone get out onto Buxton. So that, in my mind, is an absolute necessity if you're going to allow this to happen. Okay?
If I may comment.
Mr.
on
Beckman.
something. Okay. One of the things I used to do before I got here was not traffic studies per se, although I've done some, but I work with the county, Hamilton County and the state of Ohio, and decisions on widening roads, et cetera, et cetera. And that was one of the questions I asked them over Montgomery Road. And I said, why do we wait until we're absolutely in a bind before we do these things? And both the county and the state told me, and it makes sense, they have to wait till the need is absolutely there, or they end up widening a street into 4 lanes and nobody ever lives there. It becomes a waste. So they all do it the same way. They wait until we really, really, really need it, then they know what they supposedly need, and then they go fix it, which always runs behind the need. And I hope that helps you, but it does make sense to me as a professional in the business, but it doesn't make sense as a resident, so.
Well, we're already really,
Yes.
really, really in need, and that hasn't triggered anybody to do anything.
And they,
So, that doesn't mean a whole lot.
well, money is an issue too. They have to get, once they find the need, then they gotta get the money, and it takes time. So, I hope that helps.
Thank you. Next speaker, please, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Teresa Reese. I live at 1106 Ridge Point Drive. My husband and I did just send an email this afternoon. I wasn't prepared to speak this evening, but as the evening went on, I just felt like I just wanted to stress how we feel at the other end of Ridge Point. I think we've been there 22-plus years. I've lived in Union Township probably 60 years. I went to Willowville Elementary, I went to Glen Estee High School, that's no longer there. I've written the engineer's office about the proposed, well, no, it's moving forward, the roundabouts, the construction at Buxton. So what's alarming for me, a month ago, I didn't know about the 60 homes that are going to be added to the end of our street. A dead-end street. We live at the other end in the cul-de-sac. We're already stressed and unsettled enough, as some of our neighbors have stated, about the additional traffic that is in our area. You know, Buxton used to be a quiet tree-lined area. Now it's a major artery to get from 125 to 32. I think some of the homeowners don't have the same concerns we have that maybe live on Woodmont, that live on other end of Ridge Point, maybe on Clough. But I think we all have the same worries, concerns about 60 homes. And as somebody had mentioned, that doesn't mean just 60 drivers. That means 120, maybe more. I mean, we have neighbors that have 4 or 5 drivers per household. As an older neighborhood, I think the Woodmont area is even older than ours. You know, it's established. We've retired there, we've invested there, and it was just shocking that we're already concerned about the growth that we've lived through for decades with Union Township. I understand. I mean, Eastgate Mall was so busy back in the 80s and 90s, and when I was a child, Eastgate Mall wasn't even there. So I understand the growth. I understand what is happening. I appreciate what you said about the roads, because I wondered that too. Why weren't the roads established better before the high school was put there? But I do want to say, I agree with the builder regarding the gate at the end of Ridge Point. For anybody, traffic studies aren't going to look at our neighborhood, I don't think. They're not going to see the amount of traffic where people cut through from Clough to Ridge Point or Ridge Point to Clough because they're trying to avoid traffic. They're trying to avoid the traffic jams, especially when school is in, there's football games, the functions, the weekend functions that they have there. Some people make a wrong turn, they end up on Ridge Point, which is a dead-end street. But the times have changed. You know, now you have Amazon drivers, landscapers, all the things we didn't have much more than what we used to have 20 years ago. That cut through, I'm so worried if there is not a gate there, not only do you have more people coming in off of Clough, which we already have at Woodmont, we're going to have additional people plus those homes. And it's just so unsettling to think that the street, this dead-end street that we wanted to live in the rest of our lives is now, once again, become a little artery through the neighborhood, not only for us, but maybe for others. So I do agree with some sort of gate there to prevent that and let those new homeowners exit out onto Clough. My second concern is I can't tell by the map exactly where the exits are going to be. Woodmont Drive is there, and as somebody had stated, Woodmont Drive is hazardous at times, making a right or left-hand turn there. For numerous reasons, we've contacted the engineer's office. We just received a reply back this week, and to be honest, their plans to move forward with roundabouts, the widening, and everything that they're going to do they're not really addressing any of our concerns. So I'm hoping Union Township will, because not only do we have this increased traffic, you have all those apartments that are down at Klepper and Buxton. You can't tell me they're not going to be going up and down Buxton. Not only do we have the increased traffic, the school, and all the other new homes that are being built, now we're going to have a new subdivision. Are we going to still be trying to squeeze out on Woodmont Drive onto Clough and then have the new housing development exit out onto Clough? You know, I would like to see their exit to be down further at Clough and Shaler and away from Woodmont Drive. I agree with the traffic study. If there's a traffic study, I welcome that to no end because I really think our area needs one. Buxton, Shaler, and Clough. For us that live there, the noise, the traffic, the congestion. So it was just alarming for us to already address with the engineer's office about these upcoming changes that are going to start taking place next year, the summer of next year, and a month later to find out about a new subdivision that is going to be moving right down the street. So I just wanted the township to know that we want to be here. We've been here for decades. We love Union Township. We just really need for somebody to help us navigate all these changes and help us to safely get in and out of our neighborhood safely and maybe cut down some of the congestion on some of our neighborhood streets. Any questions?
May I ask the developer a question? I'm a former first responder, chief of police in the city of Hamilton County. Now, I've got concerns about the gate both ways. One, I know exactly what she's talking about, the cut through, all right? And the citizens don't want the cut through, and I totally understand that, but everybody keeps talking about a gate to stop it. As a law enforcement officer, I don't want a gate. How do we you mentioned something about there's some ways allowing the law enforcement or ambulance to get through fairly quickly. Yeah. That would be my concern, and I think the residents would have the same concern, especially if you need a police officer, if you need a fire department, if they got to go all the way around to come in. Can we get some more information on
So
that?
the bollards, we've done this in Warren County just recently. So it's a metal post. It's mounted to like a frame box onto the pavement. That's one piece. And then the post gets mounted with a pin. It's actually some sort of a metal pin, but if the car or truck hits it, if they don't have a key, it also has a key, so you can take them out if you want, take the whole post out if you want, or you can lay it down so the car can drive over. But if a truck taps that pole, it's designed to snap that pin, and that allows the police, emergency vehicles to go through.
See, I'm a little bit more concerned, not so much about a fire truck, they can knock a lot of things down. It would be the young policeman that's going through and doesn't know that, because that information will get lost somewhere along 3 years from after those ballards go in. Their breakaway, how are we gonna get the information to law enforcement?
So, I know that in Warren County, we submitted it to the township. And in that case, we had a city and a township meeting together, and they didn't want, basically, they want the connection for safety purposes, but they didn't want the traffic.
Right.
And we didn't want it either. You know, we prefer not to have all that traffic coming through our development. So we put in these bollards, we gave the police department the keys and all the information, and I have seen them out messing with them, showing each other how to use them. I don't know how they relay that information to a
Okay.
young police officer. I don't have that information.
Now, is your portion of the roadway on that ridge point gonna be dedicated roadway eventually?
Yes, it's
Okay.
public right away. Yes, it would be public right away.
I've seen problems with separations from dedicated roadway to dedicated roadway where a lot of courts hold up. They won't allow it because it's still public property at that point.
This will be public right away. This
Right.
will be the same size road as
Okay.
the sub-street that we're connecting to. And I was looking at, when you were talking about the traffic pattern, I know Buxton's a busy road, so is Clough, but the people that live in this newer development, I think they're gonna wanna go out to Clough to get the Shaler, to get the Buxton if they have to. They're not gonna go through the subdivision with all the driveways
Is
and
that an
cars.
exit there next to Woodmont though, where that red line is?
We're number 2, that's our access to
So
Clough.
down further?
And that's just, he's just showing the intersection. So one is the intersection of Clough and
Right.
Shaler.
Yes, she's referring to the long, narrow
Yes.
stretch near the bottom of the
Got it.
image.
Got it.
That's the creek.
Oh, no, that's part of the open space C. We're not doing anything.
Okay.
It has frontage
It's
on,
hazardous as it is.
has no driveway.
So I was
It might
afraid they
even
were
be,
coming out.
somebody mentioned the Duke Energy easement, it might even be part of an easement. We're not doing anything to,
Okay.
I don't know if it's not up there now, but it's open space C,
Got
and
it.
that's part of it, and we're not disturbing that at all. That's
Okay.
gonna stay natural.
Mr. Flabby, can you switch to a slide that shows the open space designation, please?
So, back up. just a
The
little.
one that was in
There.
color.
Yeah, go to the next one, I'm sorry. So,
There it
see
is.
where it says open space C?
Yes.
That is the back of the lots. We're not disturbing anything
Okay.
in that area. And we'll even on the back of these lots, we'll put some sort of conservation easement, green space easement. So you can't, and the HOA controls, so somebody mentioned, you can't just go in and clear all the way to the back of the property. The HOA controls that. And we have an easement that makes it legal and responsible for the HOA control.
Again, I'm sorry, it's just as a reminder that it is so congested in this area already, and that Clough going Woodmont to Clough, sometimes it's near impossible to make a left-hand turn, much a right-hand turn. And then Valleywood, as it was shared here, to turn left onto Valleywood right now is just horrendous. So, you know, I'm hoping somebody can hear us that we're trying to adapt to all this growth, but I think we just need some provisions for this neighborhood as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Hi, my name is Darlene Hilbin.
Do you have a sign-in sheet?
Oh, yes.
I get in trouble if I don't get it. Thank
I don't
you.
want you to get involved.
My name is Darlene Hilbin. I live at 1066 Clough Pike. So the house that's going to be torn down to put the roadway in is 2 doors down from me. So I've been living there. I'm the newbie on the block. I've been there 21 years. So I just did a little kind of study about the roundabout of the area, with West Clermont Middle School just being 1.8 miles, and the West Clermont High School just being 0.08 miles away. Just remember, the high school has no busing, so we get all those kids come, and they continuously go around from Clough to where McMahon sits. It's just a continuous row of cars, and it starts at 2:30 and it doesn't end until about 6 o'clock. And another thing is, there's natural springs back in the area that we live in, so I'm just worried about the infrastructure of our backyard, because I have noticed some erosion. So I'm worried about the building of them coming in and more erosion happening to our backyard. Plus, it looks like I'm going to have 3 backyards button up against my 100-foot backyard. So if anything should happen, I don't know who to turn to if anything should happen to, say something gets thrown in our yard. I don't know whose it belongs to, because there would be 3 people button up against our backyard. I don't have any privacy from the backyard. There's no extra trees. So I would just see all these houses, the roadway, and then when you say that you're not going to open up that back area, then people are just going to keep turning around, go back right onto Clough Pike, and Clough Pike's not wide enough to put a turn lane in unless you take people's properties. And I don't think people want to give up their properties because of this. So I would like, if they're going to put something in, not have 60 houses back there. I feel like it's a sardine subdivision. And so we sit in our parking lot, in our driveway, trying to get out constantly, and like everybody else has said too. I just don't think it's feasible with us having the business district over by our area too. So we got tons of, not just schools, middle school, high school, but we've got all those other businesses and factories letting out too. So they can only go right or left. So that little area where the high school is, Clough Pike, onto McMahon, it just wouldn't be feasible to have an outlet coming out of Clough Pike when Woodmont is only 0.2 miles from where you would put the new inlet. So it would just bog up traffic. And that drive is only less than 30 seconds between where you're going to put a new driveway to where Woodmont Drive would be. Plus, I don't know about the development of who they chose to come into our neighborhood and develop. I've done some research online. You know, the internet's a good thing, could be a bad thing at sometimes. But I have noticed that there's at least 31 businesses just in that little one area, and some of them are large businesses. So I don't know why 60 homes is just an absurd amount of houses back there. So I would like to see at least half or at least 40 of those homes back there other than 60, because I will not have any privacy. I will have to get a tree abutment. I will have to spend extra money for my backyard just to have my privacy. That is going to be taken away. So I don't know.
So to be clear, your preference would be to have the whole area just clear cut and then have the cookie cutter
No,
42?
no.
That's the only option.
I understand that, and I think R4 would not allow them to, like, build the cookie cutter homes. I understand.
R4, this is the R4. If it doesn't go with this R4, then it goes with clear cutting the whole 26 acres and just cookie cutter in the subdivision.
So would you like to have no privacy in your backyard and
I'd
then be
rather
so
have this in
congested?
my backyard.
A what?
I'd rather have this in my backyard than a
Than all the
clear-cut
new
cookie cutter.
housings that they put up. I mean, over on our side of town from 32 is nothing, just hustle and bustle. So to put extra houses over there is, it just takes our privacy away. We came to Union Township 20 years ago from Norwood. Norwood was just crazy busy. I went to come to Union Township because it was a nice community, nice, quiet. And I understand that growth is, you know, how it is today. Growth is essential for the township, and I understand that. But I wish you would listen to the people here to know that you're with us on this. Because I risk flooding, erosion, structural failure, you know. It's just going to be a strain on all of us.
And your risks would all be much greater with the other type of development than it would be with this.
I understand.
But-
So it's,
And we
it
can't
just,
stop the
it's,
development.
I know. We can't stop
Property
development.
owner has the right to develop their
I
property.
agree.
And under current zoning, they could develop it as R1, and your problems would be much greater than they are with R4. We have a much greater level of control.
I agree. If there's more restrictions on the growth and what's being back there, then I'm for it if there's more restrictions. But to have the constant flow of traffic, there's got to be a study done. And that's all I have to say.
I don't think anyone here would disagree with
Right.
the traffic issues, but
And the
if it
storm
were
sewer.
within our power to conduct it and to solve that issue at this level,
I know.
we all live here, we would absolutely
Right.
want to do that.
We would have done it already.
I know,
But
right.
it's,
I agree.
it's part of that. What, Mr. Flaherty, if you could pull up, I'd like to see,
So I would
Ms.
have,
Hilbin's house is
I would
two
have
down.
59 behind me, 58, 59, and then 60 would butt up against my property.
Because that's exactly what I wanted to see. One day we'll switch without all this paper, but right
I
now,
know.
we're drowning in it up here.
I understand.
So you are abutted by
It'd be
50,
59.
58,
59 is directly centered.
yeah.
Right.
It's 59 and 58, and a little bit of
A little bit of 60.
60. So part of staff's recommendations, if we were to move forward with this approval, is specifically, and I'll read it, additional landscaping, screening, and/or buffering shall be implemented in close proximity to the Ridge Point Drive entry around boundaries of the proposed development where vegetation is limited. Special consideration will need to be taken into effect for lots number 1, 12, 58 through 60, with either vegetation and/or privacy fencing. Tree canopies shall be labeled as preserved when applicable. and a final landscaping plan shall be submitted with the final plans.
Okay.
So your house qualifies for what we would recommend to basically have more stringent requirements when it comes to buffering, including additional vegetation and a privacy fence.
Okay, I appreciate that.
That's why I wanted to get that map up to make sure that
Thank you.
you were,
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, sir.
My name is Alex Lambros, and I live at 1069 Clough Pike. I'm here today mainly about this development. Everybody's keep promoting the R4, but I have not received an answer. Why should we switch from R1? R1 guarantees us, like you said, close to 20,000 square foot per lot. They're going down to 9. And they turn around and, like the young lady said, that they're gonna put 4,000 square foot homes in there. That leaves a lot, a backyard, about 50 feet. You know, why should we give up that? Yeah, they're gonna strip it at R1, and the people gonna come right behind it and plant their own trees, their own landscaping. 5 years from now, we're still gonna have an R1 in the neighborhood that represent McDermott. I see no reason for us to give it up. 2, emergency exit. People complain they don't want it to go through their subdivision. The developer is using that one to bypass a secondary exit, which is required in a subdivision that big. He should go back and use a real exit. The exit they're proposing on Clough Pike is less than 200 yards from the traffic light. Yeah, they're gonna put a turnaround, but it's an accident waiting to happen. A car's gonna jump out, it's a single lane, and a turning lane right there, right next to it. What is it gonna do? Cars are coming both ways. The road is not wide enough. Definitely is gonna need an egress. Now comes to the storm sewers. I've been living in my house for the better part of 35 years. I watched Clough Pike getting built. You know, the first time around, they raised it 6 inches. The second time they came around, they raised it 11 inches. None of the storm sewers work. I have run dye tests in 6 different sewers. Not a one of the storm sewers work on Clough Pike. Now, the regular sewers. Anybody that lives between Saylor and McMahon can testify about every 2 years we have to call the plumbing department to unclog our sewers because it's overloading every time it storms, and we have to call to clean it up. The county comes back and says, no, there's nothing wrong with our sewers. We keep camera in our sewers, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just shit, overload.
Sir, if we can
You know,
keep the cursing
that's
out of this,
second.
please, thank you.
You know, it's no way possible. They're proposing everything, $600,000 homes on a postage stamp lot. Don't think so. They have to show me those homes at 600,000. Ain't no way. What I'm saying is, unless they can come back and tell us why they want an R4, is no. They don't want the traffic at McDermott, and I don't blame them. But what they're gonna do when the kids start walking on their lots, because there ain't no sidewalks on Shaler. There is no sidewalks on Clough. Those are issues that you need to address before you even allow them to go to the county. You should never leave this area right here, right now, until all those questions are answered. And the people that have vested interest in this community get served. That's all I have to say. The answer is no. No changes to R1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Ma'am? Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
My name is Tracy Shorten. I live at 1105 Ridgepoint Drive. I've been there almost 20 years with my husband. I love my home, I love my neighbors, and I love my neighborhood. You answered a lot of my questions, so I don't really have a lot of questions. I have more just an FYI. And one of it is, why can't an entrance to this new neighborhood come off of Shaler Road? That would solve a few things, I would think.
Okay. Has the developer looked into ingress and egress off of Shaler?
Yeah, the topography is too severe as you go from this site down to Shaler Road. There's a large drop off down there. And secondly, there's a large water main that runs along the south side of Shaler Road too as well. But the main reason is the topography. It's just too steep to build a road up there.
Thank you, Mr.
So that
Mr.
means,
Smith.
would mean that if you did change that, more trees would come out.
That's correct.
Tree preservation is very important. I'm not a tree hugger, but one of the reasons we bought where we bought was because you could drive down Buxton Road and there was just trees everywhere. And then it just kind of opened up and you could see the subdivisions. And the township, the county, whoever has decimated Buxton Road. It looks hideous, and I'm ashamed. And finally, I'm sure that this is probably going to go through no matter what. So if it does, Ridgepoint is one word, not two.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Thanks, sir.
I'm going to be very brief. I live at 1072 Clough Pike. My name is Steve McClanahan. I'm really directing this toward the developers, just as a thought. My house on Clough is at the south side, and there's a narrow piece of strip of land that runs back to your open space. I've been mowing that for 26 years. Christopher's, we'll call her his stepmother, and I had an agreement. We'll mow that strip of property as long as I can walk my dogs back there, back towards the barn. I'm just throwing it out. If at some point you all would like to get rid of that little narrow strip of land, I'm your guy. So,
I don't think we're gonna care about the grass.
well, I'm hoping that, when I first heard about this, I thought, okay, I need to put a fence along there because I can see construction equipment turning around in my side yard.
We're not gonna disturb that area. Everything that's on the office, our construction will not go to pipe at the number 2.
Oh, okay.
Everything will go.
Where Christopher's house is going.
Yeah. And to reiterate, that strip of land is part of your open space, and so that's going to be HOA owned and maintained. And really, you're going to leave as much of the natural layout and greenery that's already there. Okay.
Yeah, just thought I'd throw it out there, because like I said, I've been mowing it for 26 years.
That's not the first time at a zoning meeting where a member of the public has offered to purchase part of the developed land. That has happened. This was politer, I will note for our record. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Okay. At this point, we've got no more comments from the public, so the public contribution to this meeting is now closed, and so discussion is going to be confined to, sir.
This is a simple comment.
If you could come to the mic, I will let you briefly come back to the microphone if you have a comment.
Yeah, my name's Scott Sheeman, and I did see some of the paperwork and plans. And just for clarification, Ridge Point is all one word. So
Yeah.
you're going to get all messed up if you continue on with it having two words. Okay?
Yes.
That's all.
You guys have it? Ridge Point is one word, okay, thank you. Okay, so the public contribution, the public opportunity to comment this evening is now closed. You are all more than welcome to stay and watch the deliberation and discussion among the commission. We may very well call on members of the public or the developer to answer questions we have before we take an action. I will just say that regardless of the action taken by this commission this evening, this case will be heard and presented before the Board of Trustees at the July 14th meeting, which will be in this room, but they start earlier than we do. That starts at 6 p.m. So all of you will have another opportunity to come out, to comment on this project, to ask questions, and to tell the Board of Trustees how you would like them to act, because they control the actual change to the zoning map. We just make a recommendation. Okay, thank you all very much for attending this evening. Okay, so we're opening up among the commission regarding this plan from R1 to R4. Who would like to kick off?
I don't mind starting.
Mr. Beckman?
I think the R4 designation works better than R1 for the same obvious reasons we've been discussing. In the long run, it's going to be much nicer. It's going to be developed. The only thing that is my concern at this point is whether Ridge Point should be through road or non-through road. But I don't think that's going to be our option. And so I understand why the people do not want it to be a through road. I'm not sure I'd want it either. I'm not sure if it's even legal not to make it a through road.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to speak with one another, I think that's great, but if you could do so outside of this room, it's a public meeting, we have a record to maintain. I appreciate it if you're quiet on your way out. Thank you. Mr. Beckman, please continue.
Okay, I'm not sure it even is legal to divide a public roadway once tax money is used to maintain it. I've seen that happen before.
We've done it.
Have you?
Yeah, we have.
It doesn't mean it's
No, it's
legal,
legal.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But that again, that's not going to influence my vote one way or another. It's just something that bothers me.
Okay. Mr. Flouty, you look like you had something you were going to say.
Yes, if I may add where the township was coming from with their stance on the elimination of the emergency gate. The main reason, of course, is with the Horizon 2030 comprehensive land use plan, the connected street is one of the pros to that plan there. Additionally, I heard a variety of different things. Like it was stated by you gentlemen, there's always, basically, a blade to each side of the sword there. So we heard, it was the cars backing up into residents' driveways. This has the potential, if there is an emergency access, to get worse. They're both public roads, whether GPS picks that up, Waze, Apple Maps that might not pick that up. And and it might send people through. Additionally, the stub was never meant to be a dead-end street. It was stubbed for the purpose of the continuation of the street. If it was a cul-de-sac, we could see where it not going through, the street not going through would be ultimately the best option. But with it being a stub, it has always been meant to extend through that property there. And if it was developed up to the R1 standards, that street could continue just as it is now. So just from, the reasoning and standpoint, completely understand, but with a public street, I would think the turnaround into the different neighborhoods, driveways would increase with the maps and whatnot, but, there's two sides to each story, so I just wanted to add that in there.
Thank you. Mr. Honor-Law?
I have no questions. I think I like the proposal that's here. I think it can work. It kind of needs a little polishing, but it's good for the community. It's good for everybody around, basically.
Thank you.
Me?
Mr. Lewis, if you'd like, whichever one of you blinked first.
I think this, between, developed as an R1, clear cutting the entire area and cookie cutting, erosion is worse, traffic is worse, the aesthetics is worse, to me, the R4 is a much better way. We're maintaining a whole lot more green space is being maintained. People choose to live on a small lot, that's their choice. I don't have a problem with that. People want less and less yard to maintain, and so R4s work for those people where there's a homeowners association taking care of all this green space, there's trails, it's aesthetically more pleasing. It would take, if you clear cut that, it would take over 50 years if everybody wanted to plant, and they don't in subdivisions. They don't plant to that level of density that we'd be seeing cleared in an R1. So in an R4, that's 50, maybe even 100 years it would take to get some of that back. I understand the traffic situation, but the traffic situation would be just as bad with an R1 as it's going to be. We're not talking that many different homes between what's being proposed. We're just talking about smaller lots and maybe smaller houses and a lot of green space and trails, and I think it's better all the way around. I personally am in favor of, at this point, keeping that area, keeping that road closed off. I think keeping that blockade in there, we've done it in other areas, I don't see why it would be an issue. If down the road it's determined that we need to, for some reason, legally we have to open it up, then maybe take a look at that. But my recommendation would be to remove that recommended modification from the staff report and actually modify it to state that should stay in place. But I like the plan and all the provisions. I think it's a well-done plan. I give the architect credit. I think it's very well done.
Yeah, it's over 20%, which is just over 20%, which is the requirement in an R4 for the maintained green space. It's a seemingly well-composed plan. Mr. Wing?
I agree with most everything else. If I was living in that neighborhood, I would rather see this plan than an R1 push and shove put in where everybody's going to have backyards against them. The other thing is and this is just a thought, if we keep the gate, does that road coming in have to be, let me get it right, Ridge Point at one word? Could that not be Ridge Point Spur or something different, which would allow 911 communications potentially to avoid some of the issues you were talking about earlier?
The name changed completely.
Or change it totally, yeah. I mean, my street, you come back Rumpke Road and you keep going straight, now you're on Jackson. I mean, I know that happens. And I used to be first responder as well. So at least with that, it would give them some idea which way to come in off of.
I think it'd have to be a different name.
It could be a different name, yeah.
I don't think a different name would make that much difference. The policeman department, they're going to go the shortest
Oh,
route.
yeah, no, I get that.
But that's just me. That doesn't mean, I would
I,
close my mind to this project.
the thing I looked at is if I lived on the existing ridge point, I'd be more likely to go out through the new because it's a shorter distance than wiggling out the way they're wiggling out right now. So I would see it probably as being an advantage to be able to go out to Clough.
I do too.
Okay. I mean, the end of, the long and the short of it is, there's going to be a residential development that goes
Oh,
on
yeah.
there. It's zoned residential. R4 gives us more control and it mandates this green space be used, or be available. And that is generally preferred. This fits, we're not in a specific corridor for the purposes of the land use plan. And this meets the residential density that the land use plan expects and wants from new residential developments. So I think from what I'm hearing among the commission is general approval of the change, and general approval of the plan, but where there may be disagreement is what are we going to do with Ridgepoint, all one word, in terms of are we going to do what our staff report recommends, and indeed is very close to saying we must do, it's mandated by the land use plan, or are we going to recommend that the trustees approve a safety gate that's keyed, and so the road would only be used for emergency services only.
I vote for the gate.
Could we do this, when the motion's made to change the zoning, leave out that provision and make that a separate motion or a separate recommendation?
No, you modify that.
Yeah, that way, we may all be for the R4, but not necessarily the closing of the road. It's still gonna go whatever way it goes, but,
I don't see, we can't, what you're describing, we can't separate that.
that was my
Yeah,
question. If I
you can't-
still in,
We can't create a new case.
okay, can't do it, all right.
In the end, won't this, ultimately, it's the trustees' decision, what they're gonna do with it. So do we leave it
If I
in
may.
or leave it
Mr.
out?
Mr. Flanagan.
If I may, I know the board has already entertained the thought of adding additional information with the type of homes and maybe some floor plans. So maybe within the modification of the motion, you could also include, the applicant bringing additional studies. They brought up the Warren County property. They could provide us with additional studies, pictures of how these bollards work, and then we could also gather the information of why, the connected streets, and we could come back together. So it wouldn't necessarily be a vote, it would just be a continuance of the discussion, since it's ultimately up to the Board of Trustees to approve or deny that safety box there, or safety gate.
And just to revisit this, it's one of the two of you had indicated that you spoke with the county about this issue, and the county essentially indicated it was in the township's purview to render an opinion on this. Is that correct?
We did not brief directly, it was our understanding.
Okay.
Conversations with Mr. Wright, that it was a township decision.
Okay. I appreciate that clarification, thank you. So what I'm hearing from Mr. Flouty is there's a possibility of making essentially a recommendation requiring more information for consideration by the township trustees regarding this particular sub-issue when it comes to this plan. But I would still like to hear members of the commission out regarding this particular issue. Mr. Lewis has been clear on where he stands on the issue, so I'd like to hear from other commissioners where they stand regarding a safety gate or opening it up. Well, whoever would like to speak.
I'm for the safety gate, I think. I understand the residents there. Everybody right now is working fine off of Ridge Point and down Fall Crest Drive. I mean, that's worked fine for years, and it can continue that way. I do believe it has to have some kind of a gate for the police and fire to get through for everybody's protection. But I think it does need something there to clarify that, to keep people from going through that subdivision. I understand that totally.
Mr. Wing?
I understand what the neighborhood is saying, the existing neighborhood. I think the safety gate adds an extra level of complication, though, to a lot of things. So I could, it's not an important issue to me, because I don't live there, but I understand what they're saying. And if I lived in that subdivision, though, the way it is, like I said before, I would probably be utilizing the new road to get down to Clough Pike instead of what they do right now, winding down and around and through. So, to me, the safety gate, I just don't see it being that big of an issue. And if we're going against our own, the 2030 plan, are we doing the right thing?
Thank you. Mr. Beckman?
I have the same feeling. It's not that terribly important, because I think what's going to happen, if they can build it with the gate, but eventually it's probably going to come down, because they're going to find out it's easier to do things a different way. It's not a major issue with me, so.
I am really sympathetic to the neighborhood on this issue, because I do think that there will be an enticement to cut through the neighborhood, and that's wrong. But as a commissioner, I'm bound by the comprehensive land use plan, the 2030 plan, which says that we have a stub street, it's now connecting street, it should be opened. And if the township trustees want to reverse that position in this particular case, then that's something that they can do, and that's something that they can calculate. But I don't think that I can go against the land use plan in that way. And I also would have concerns to Mr. Flouty's suggestion that we essentially make an approval of the plan with recommended modifications, but we're really leaving an issue related to the plan very much open without us weighing in on it. And I would have concerns about whether that's something we can do, because we're essentially not commenting on that.
We can make any recommendation we want, even if it's contrary to the 2030 plan. I mean, we had a case with Honda on Beachfront Avenue where the 2030 plan had to be modified, the focus area had to be modified to allow that development to proceed. And so we recommended against it, but the trustees made the modification to the focus plan, to the 2030 plan that allowed it. So the trustees can move forward with a change. If the wording were that further study needs to be done and consideration to the privacy issues raised by the existing community, if we can change the wording to require further additional information, then I think that would be okay with that. We also need to add to the modifications the requirement for the layout, some sample facades, building facades.
And then the landscape plan on those Clough Pike properties, the 50%.
I think that's already in.
It's in there, but it'd be nice to see a little bit more potential.
Well, and that's part of what would be required.
Right.
So essentially what I'm hearing is that we would like specifically a requirement that neighboring privacy concerns be addressed, we would like to see further study on the issue of the feasibility of a safety gate.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is there any further discussion?
So, further discussion, so currently, item number 4 states, "The safety gate located at the stub connection of Ridge Point Drive shall be eliminated."
Right.
We're gonna change that, and it said this will allow for connection to existing street network. We're just gonna change that to be, we recommend further study be considered due to the privacy concerns of the existing neighborhood. Okay.
The chair will now solicit a motion regarding this plan. Is anyone? Okay, so give me,
You do such a.
give me a little bit of time.
We love the way you
to
do it, man.
formulate it.
Yeah, you could just reference modifications 1, 2, and 3, and then have it
Yeah.
in 4 and 5.
Okay. I hereby make this motion in case number 3-26-Z, applicant Chris Henniger. The zoning commission finds that the submitted R4 plan application and zone change request is consistent with the Horizon 2030 land use plan, but does not meet all of the plan development application requirements of an R4 plan. Therefore, this commission recommends the submitted plan be approved contingent upon adherence to the noted modifications as specified in this motion. All required supplemental information and plan modifications must be completed and submitted to the planning director no later than 1 week prior to the trustees' hearing of this case. We make the following finding of facts. Per the Horizon 2030 land use plan, the proposed development is not located within a designated corridor. The proposed development is consistent with adjacent land use characteristics. All adjacent parcels are zoned residential. Single-family residential development goals call for targeted single-family densities up to 4 units per acre, and this proposal achieves a gross density of 2.54 units per acre. The R4 district allows for enhanced design flexibility to integrate into the surrounding community. And this proposal calls for 20.3% of the total acreage to be open space maintained by a homeowners association, which is consistent with the requirements of an R4 plan, and the plan calls for a proposed walking path. This is subject to the following modifications. See page 5 of the staff report, items numbered 1 through 3. The commission is rewriting recommendation number 4. The safety gate located at the stub connection of Ridge Point Drive. In regards to this, it is the commission's recommendation that additional study and research be conducted in order to address the privacy concerns of the existing neighborhood and the feasibility of a safety gate in this location. The 5th modification would be that sample facades and proposed layouts for the homes to be constructed be presented at the trustees meeting, well, actually submitted earlier. That concludes my motion.
I'll second that motion.
I've regularly made and seconded motion. Any discussion about the motion itself? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Flatty, would you call the question?
Yes, sir. Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Wing?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
And Mr. Honorlaw?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion carried. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Please make sure to turn out for the trustees' hearing of this case, July the 14th. The
14th at 6 o'clock.
Oh, thank you. You distracted me by putting up 6, and I'm like, wait, I got the date that wrong. So any further business come before this commission before we proceed to close?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then,
Has anybody
Mr. Lewis.
been over the new
Yes.
bridge? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I go
It seems
over.
like there's more lanes heading north than there are going south.
And they don't line up.
They don't, we have like this weird misalignment that we have at Buxton
Right.
overpass.
Even the old, the first one they put in over, Alec Lane or whatever it is.
Oh, the
That's
Klepper.
confusing too, and
Yeah, it is.
you get in the wrong lane, you gotta turn.
Right, the Buxton overpass, why they saw
Yes.
the need to, when you're coming up it, you can't see that those 2 lanes are for left turn.
No.
And so people are constantly.
Gentlemen, I hate
Yep,
to.
we gotta go.
But this commission is hereby adjourned at 8:55 PM.
Mike's off.
I shouldn't
Mike's
have-
off.